Hello guys, Jules here and welcome back to Mystery Lake. Today we have a very special deck for you. And this is a deck that if you follow us on Twitch, you follow me on Twitch, we already showcased in the stream. So if you follow if you follow me on Twitch, you may have already seen this deck. But now it's time to properly explain it, right? And this is a deck that is for me is very special because it's all cat themed. And personally, I have a cat, so that's why I have a cat, and I like cats in general, so that's why I like. And it's based on the new version that came out with Unbroken Bonds. It was a promo for the pre-release. We will never use the person as an attacker, but what we will use is what the deck revolves around is this ability, the Gathering of Cats ability, because it allows you to ignore all the energy in attack cost for all the Pokemon that have that have the Caturday attack, such as this Glameow, for example. But the good thing is that it doesn't apply only to Caturday; it applies to all the attacks. For example, if we have the person in play and we want to attack with the Glameow, we can do Caturday, yes, but we can also do the Boing Boing Tail and do 60 damage to one of our opponent's Pokemon GX or EX, which is quite good. So this is the main part of the deck. The Persian is the main part of the deck if we are playing a line 3-3, because if we lose the Persian, then we cannot basically ever attack because we are not playing any energy except for double colorless. So if we lose the person, we will never be able to attack. For example, with Meowstic or with the actually just with Meowstic, but as we will see, Meowstic is one of the main attacker. The Persian is the key. We never have to lose a Persian, or unless we have another one ready to be placed. Unless we have, I don't know, a Meow or a Ditto in the bench and we have a Persian in hand just to evolve it. So this is the key point. Then, as the attackers, we have Glameow, as I showed before, because with his Boing Boing Tail attack can be quite useful against some Pokemon GX, against the deck using Pokemon GXs or EXs. And it's actually, this is where the deck shines. Like you can say this pretty much for all the so-called SPA, single prize attacker deck that uses only single prize attacker. You can say this for all of them. They shine against the decks that instead are using mainly GXs or tag team GXs. Because every time you get the 2 or 3 prizes while they take one. It's as simple as that. But the Glameow indeed can be quite useful in a matchup against the tag team or GX, regular GX, but it's completely useless except for this attack maybe in another matchup. In the other matchup, the strategy that we will use is somewhat similar to the spread tactic, because in fact we are playing the Tapu Koko and we have the Espurr. So the idea here is to spread damages as much as possible through the bench with Flank Flip or with the Shrine of Punishment, if in case it's GXs. And then or ideally give 1 or 2 attacks from the Tapu Koko, and then assuming that this will be knocked out at some point, go on with the Espurr and use this ER Kinesis attack, which is powerful. It's extremely powerful if you think about it, because it does 20 damage times one of your does 20 damage to one of your opponent Pokemon for each damage counter on the Pokemon. So if you, by any chance, you are able to do 3 attack, for example, with a Koko, this Ear Kinesis will do to someone in the bench. This Ear Kinesis will do 60 times 2, time 20 times 6. So it will do 120 damage, which is not bad because they are being done by an Esper. This once again, it's extremely important. It's extremely good against the GXs because you do spread damages with the Koko. Then the Shrine helps as well, and then you get huge KOs using the little Esper, which is Look at the artwork; is also quite amazing. Um, so this is how the main combination, the main attacking combination would work. Of course, the Mew is here just to protect the barrier, to protect the Pokemon in the bench, but also to put the damage counters on the Pokemon in the bench. So this also synergizes well with the Espurr because we can put 3 damages on someone in the bench because these things works only in the bench. So you cannot do this on the Pokemon in the active Pokemon from your opponents. And so that's why even the Mew helps because you can put damages on the bench and then attack with the ear kinesis. Also, just a curiosity, it's called ear kinesis because it's below the ear that Espurr stores its psychic power. Oh yeah, it says it says that here as well. I didn't know that. I saw it here. Anyway. And then the Meowstic, which is also super nice. It has an amazing attack. It is what we would use, what we will use mostly together with the Coco. If we don't, if we're not able by any chance to pull out the Coco's attacks multiple times, then the only thing we are going to rely on is this Meowstic. And unfortunately, this is where the deck struggles quite a lot. Not because the Meowstic is not good, but because it has too low HP, of course. Because the attack is actually amazing because you do 70 damage and then 140 the next turn because the defending Pokemon is weak to psychic for until the end of the next turn. But the thing is you're hardly going to survive 2 turns with a Meowstic with only 90 HP. So against non-GXs, this is a problem because you will not take the KOs unless they are already weak to psychic, and they are going to. So yeah, you have to have another Meowstic in the bench to get the KO on your like answering their KO to answer their KO with another KO. You have to have another Meowstic in the bench, and that's usually is the case, but it's not always it. It's usually the case because we are playing many nest balls to get the Espurr's Mysterious Treasure to get the Meowstic. We have even the Pokemon Communication, given that we are playing 20 Pokemon, it's quite a lot, so we can use the Pokemon Communication effectively. We also have 2 Jirachis, of course, for consistency, as usual. That's the only thing that Jirachi is used for now, and it's consistency. And we have them. We have 2 of them. So usually we will have, if we need it, we will have another Meowstic, but it can happen also not to have it. As simple as that. So this is pretty much the strategy. As you can see, it's the one against GX decks or tag team GX is much better if you ask me because you spread damage with the Coco, you spread damages with the Shrine of Punishment. But even just the Meowstic is amazing against GX because you do 70 damage, then they KO you, but then also if you have another Meowstic, you will deal 150 damage and 140 damage, and 140 plus 70 is 210. So most of them will be KO'd by that, especially if you have the Shrine of Punishment or something else in play. So against tag team GXs and GXs in general, these decks really shines. But against non GXs, it's a problem because there are so many other non GXs which are stronger. They do much more damages, and even the Giratina, which is not even a new one, it can deal the Malamar with the Giratina. I mean, they can do a lot of damage. Even the Malamar attacking the attacking Malamar could take the KO on the Meowstic because his weakness is weak to Psyche. So anyway, we will see how it goes when doing the testing. But if we find ourselves against the tag team GX, we can show up. We can come out strong. Against the non-tag team GX, I don't see that happening. So let's move on to the items anyway. We are playing one copy of Counter Catcher. This is because most likely, we are going to fall off in prizes, fall down in prizes. Regardless who we are playing, whether we are playing against a GX or not, we are going to fall behind. So this could be useful to um, gain some turns, so take some time. But also, if we have, if our opponents have the active Pokemon has been damaged, and we want to KO it with the Espurr, then we need to take it to move it to the bench, and then we could use this counter catcher. For the same reason, we are playing also two copies of Escape Rope, because we don't really care whether. So we would use this just mainly to put the active Pokemon that he has to the bench. We don't really care who he promotes, and that's why and also we don't really care about switching our Pokemon sometimes. Sometimes we might, but sometimes we might not. And the main point here is just to move his active Pokemon with some damage counters on it to the bench. And that's why we are placing the escape rope. Once again, since we don't care about we don't necessarily care about us being able to switch the Pokemon, we are not playing a switch, and we are playing some escape rope board, but just for the Jirachi. We are not playing any switch because we don't really care about switching our Pokemon. The main point is to switch theirs. A mysterious treasure can be used. Well, it's the usual mysterious treasure. We're playing only two, but we could have done with three maybe, because it's used to get the Espurr and Meowstic mainly. Before I had like four copies of Espurr and Meowstic. That's why I said that. I think I was using more mysterious treasure then, but now it's just three and three, and also we have other Pokemon that we need. So it's okay to have two. Maybe we can do 3 and 3 or 3 and 4, or rather than 4 and 2. But okay. The Nest Ball is used to get basic Pokemon, and we have tons of them. We have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, which is actually 20 minus the only two evolution. So we have 14 basic Pokemon. We need the Nest Ball. We will never have the Pokemon, all the Pokemon that we needed the first time, the first turn. So we need an S-Ball to get them. Most of the time, if we have a turn one S-Ball would be for the Jirachi, most likely. Or if you already have the Jirachi, and we already have a person by any chance in the end, then we will get the Meow. But regardless, we always, more the Ditto, we always need basics. That's the point. The Pokemon communication is used to get the Pokemon that we need, because we have many Pokemon. We are playing 20 Pokemon, so it could happen. Actually, it does happen. I can tell you already that we will find ourselves with the wrong Pokemon in the wrong turn in end. We might have, for example, the Tapu Koko and no colorless energy, or the Meowstic and no Espurr, or we might have the Meowstic, but we might want to attack with the Espurr because of its Kinesis attack. And so in that case, we will simply swap the Meowstic in favor of another Pokemon that we might need more. And the Rescue Stretcher is here even in 2 copies, and that is because we are going to lose many Pokemon. As I said, those are all easily KO'd. All of these. Even the Tapu Koko is the one with highest SP, and it only has 110. So all of them can be KO'd quite easily. We will need to recover them. As simple as that. We are also playing only 3 copies of Espurr, so if we want to take, for example, a big KO at the end, we might have lost already the 3 Espurr, so we need to take one back, and just to attack, to do that one attack and take a big KO on the attack team GX. And let me tell you, the satisfaction when you KO a 270 HP Reshiram Charizard with this little guy, it's amazing. It's amazing. Or 260 HP Gardevoir, it's the same. Guardian. The Ultra Ball, it's regular Ultra Ball. We will need it to be sure. We will need it to be sure that we can find the Pokemon when we need it, when we want. So, for example, I'm talking about the Persian that we cannot get with the Mysterious Treasure, or the Koko as well. Well, the Koko is a basic, so we might want to get it with an S, but still, depending on the situation. Then we have 2 copies of the Shrine of Punishment, which we have already said how important it is, especially against the non-GXs. Sorry, against the GXs deck. But this card, I like it a ton in this deck, Because if you think about it, we are not playing any fairy. So technically, we would pay more for our attack. But thanks to the Persian, we don't care at all about this because the cost is ignored. So yeah, the Meowstic would need 4 energy to attack, but for the Gathering of Cats ability, we don't care about that. Which means that we can attack, but we can annoy, like we can disrupt any other deck. This is truly amazing. This is a truly strong card in this deck. And I believe it's also quite interesting that we might use this card in a non-fairy deck. I like this a lot. It's like the concept from the Typhlosion that I showcased that we brought a while ago. In which we were attacking with the Typhlosion with the through psychic energy. That's quite interesting to if you ask me. And that is kind of the same thing, for of course for a different for different purposes. It's not a matter of changing energies and whatnot. So this is a card that I like a lot in this deck. That's the outline here. As a supporter, we are going really regular 3-3-3, Cynthia, 3 Glutzma, 3 Lily, and I would like to stress the importance of this guy. Because with the red challenge we can get all the cards that we need, and most of the time if we have the Tapu Koko and we want to attack because it's quite important too, we need to have the double colorless. So if we have the double color and not the double colorless, we can use the red challenge to get the double colorless. Because with red challenge you can take any. If you discard 2 cards, you can get any card from your deck. So that is why we are playing one copy of it. Then the 3 choice bands, of course, is whenever we need to attack with the Meowstic or even with the Coco itself to deal more damage. Sometimes it even happened to attack, to attack with the Persian and do 120 damage, or it works even with the Glameow. So you can, if you do this attack, you can do 60 damage. If he has the choice band, it deals 90 damage. It's nice to have a Glameow dealing 90 damages to a GX. So that's why we're playing the choice band. 2 escape ropes for the Jirachi, of course. The spell tag for Espurr and Meowstic to spread even more damage. So that's why I'm saying that it's a concept that is quite similar to the Whizzing spread, because even there you plan to spread as many damages as possible, and you do that with the Whizzing, of course, with the Coco as well, and with the spell tag. Now the reason why I would not use the Whizzing here instead of the 2 Coco, for example, we could place 1 Coughing and 1 Whizzing, but it would be a little bit slower. Because you then need to, you don't need only a Pokemon and a double colorless energy, but you need a Pokemon, its evolution, and the double colorless energy. So if we want to use the Whizzing, then we would need 2 more Mysterious Treasure, and we can indeed place the Coughing and the Whizzing instead of the Cocos. But to Mysterious Treasure, we would have to give up something else. And also, we would have to use the Mystery Treasure most of the time to get Coughing and Whizzing, and not maybe the Espurr. So it's a matter of choices. We will need many more choices to be made, and might not be extremely worth. Also because technically, the Coco helps spreading damages much more, and in a more reliable way than the Whizzing. What do I mean? The Whizzing, with 1 single attack, can also deal only 40 damage to the active Pokemon, and we don't need that much. It will be 40 damage, and maybe if it will be mainly 40 damage to the active, and then if the opponent in the bench has no basic Pokemon, it's only 40. Then if he has some basic Pokemon, it's 40 to the one in the active and 10 to the basic in the bench. But given that it will take us some time to get it there, most likely it might be KO'd. So we only have 1 attack with the Whizzing, and that might not be as good as the 1 attack for the Coco, because the Coco just put 20 damages on everyone. So that's why I prefer the Coco much more. And also you have higher chances with the Coco to attack multiple times, because with the Whizzing you cannot have it turn 2, with the Coco you can. And turn 2, it might be difficult for the opponents to KO it, whereas with the Whizzing, the sooner you can get it is turn 3, and in turn 3, it's not like it's easy that it will KO, and it's not like you are sure that it's going to be KO'd, but there's higher chances of that happening. So but Indeed, it is an option if you want, if you wish. The whizzing is an option, but yeah, I tried it, but I prefer the Tapu Koko by a big extent. And then we're playing 4 copies of DCE. That of course is used mainly for the Tapu Koko to attack, but we might need it at some point with a Persian if we want to have one last attack, because I don't know, we're facing a GX which is 90 HP, less than 90 HP left. Even the Glamiao, we can attack with the Glamiao. If we don't have the Persian, we will need 2 colorless energy to attack with him. So yeah, so that's about the use of the DCE. You can play some counter energy as well if you wish, or maybe for, well, I wouldn't play for. There's no big difference for us between. So if you put four DCE or counter energy, it doesn't really change that much. Usually, what you do is to put four DCE and 4 counter energies when you really need the double energy to attack. But we don't need it in this case. In this case, we are going to have only one anyway. So we are going to have only one, either DCE or counter energy. So that's why you might want to prefer that's why the DCE are preferable to the counter energy, because you can always use them. Whereas if you are even in prizes, you cannot use the counter energy, and we want to use it. We want to attack with the Coco as soon as possible. Okay, so that's about it. You will see how this works. Once again, when it comes to matchups against GX or tag team GX, we can say our like we can say something with this deck. The cats here can say their own, but against the known GX deck, I don't see that happening. As simple as that. And I already explained why. Because we against the GX and tag team GX, we can concede some prizes because we know that we are going to take like 2 or 3 later. But against another spa, I think we cannot do that, because they will take prizes faster than us. Simply because we are low. In this deck there are all low HP Pokemon. Whereas some of the other single prize attacker are actually quite bulky. I'm talking about the Arcanine, which with the buff budding gets to 190 HP, which is a lot. So it would be difficult for us to take the KO. It would be much easier for them. So I don't see that this deck performing well against another single prize attacker. It's not, therefore, it's not the most competitive deck ever, but it's the funniest. I'm quite sure it's in this meta. This deck is definitely the funniest. You can take a KO with this guy onto big tag team GXs, and I know it just feels amazing. To be fair, it just feels amazing. We will see. Hopefully, we will see it in the testing video, and you will agree with me that it looks truly amazing. So that's it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and follow us on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. I cannot stress this enough. It's quite important to follow us on Twitter, because there is where we announce all the streaming and the new videos coming out. Alright, I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye bye.